Hey, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Andrew. In these videos, we explore how you could start your own AI marketing agency and scale it well past $10,000 a month right from home. So in this video, I wanna break down Facebook advertising, how we run Facebook ads for our clients right now in the contracting space. If you're a contractor, this video should be very useful for you to run your own Facebook ads. And if you're looking to get into the digital marketing space and run ads for contractors, this video should also be very helpful for you so you can learn how to run Facebook ads effectively and efficiently very, very quickly. This does not need to be complicated. And in this video, I'm gonna break it down as simply as possible so you can start running Facebook ads as early as this afternoon. So let's dive right into my computer and get started. All right, we are in my computer now, and I have a test ad account pulled up that I've made specifically for today's video. This is a fresh ad account, so you can see how we set things up from scratch. Before I get started, I did want to just preface this by saying that Facebook does update their user interface seemingly every couple of months. So if you see an option on my screen that you don't see on your screen or vice versa, it's probably because it's not that important. Really, if we have our ad creative, ad copy, and landing page or lead form dialed in, then everything else is kind of just noise. And if you don't know what all those are, the creative is going to be the image or video that we're using, and the ad copy is going to be the primary text and headline, and then obviously the landing page or lead form are self-explanatory. But if you have those three things dialed in, then everything else is sort of just noise. So don't get hung up on the small details, focus on the big levers and the things that are going to make meaningful change with your campaigns. But let's just go ahead without further ado, let's get started. On the left-hand side of my screen, you're going to see the create button to start creating our first campaign. And it's going to immediately ask us what our campaign objective is. Now, really for almost anybody running lead generation campaigns for local businesses, it's going to be leads. Things like sales would be if you were running e-commerce brands and you were selling products over the internet, or awareness or engagement or sort of self-explanatory. But for most of the people watching this video, we're gonna select leads. That's what we do for all of our accounts. And then we can hit continue. Now we're gonna go ahead and name this campaign. Now what I'll normally name my campaigns is the name of the business that we're running it for, or I'll name it my business name as well. But for this particular example, we're gonna go ahead and create ads for a roofing client. Now, this exact same format and everything I'm going to teach in this video can be applied to any home service-based business. So if you're a landscaper, a hardscaper, a remodeler, any of those type of businesses are going to follow the exact same format that I'm going to put together in this video. So everything I teach should be able to transfer over to those. But for example, we can name this one 123 Roofing, and that'll be the name of this roofing company. Now underneath the name, we're gonna go ahead and select our budget. Do we wanna do a campaign budget or an ad set budget? I will usually select an ad set budget. This just gives us more control over where we are spending our money. If you're looking at your ads every 1 to 3 days, I suggest doing an ad set budget. If you're going to be leaving things on for maybe a week at a time without looking at your ads, you may wanna select a campaign budget. But an ad set budget is gonna give us more control. Typically, that's a better thing for most of what you're going to be doing on Facebook ads. But we'll go ahead and select ad set here. Going down, we're going to see special ad categories. Now really the only special ad category that's important for most home service-based businesses is the financial products or services, and that special ad category is going to be selected when you are running financing ads. So for a roofer, we might run an ad that says, get a new roof for as low as $100 a month. And that would be a financing offer. And if we do that, we're going to have to select the financial products and services ad category. Now, what this does is this actually hinders our ability to target. And what it does is it actually restricts our targeting capabilities. So typically, if we're running an ad for a home service-based business, we would want to target people 25 or older. Typically, if you're 18 years old, you don't own a home yet. So we really don't want to target people 18 to 25. Now, if we're going to select a financial products and services ad category, it is going to force us to target anybody 18 plus. We're not going to have the ability to move that age range up. So that is something you want to consider. It also makes it so that when we're doing radius targeting, for example, the radius has to be at least 15 miles wide, right? Whereas if we don't select that, we can do radiuses as small as a mile. So we can do very, very tight little pockets of targeting. So It does restrict our ability to target, so keep that in mind if you're going to be running a financing ad. We're not going to select it here, so I can show you how this would work if you're running any other type of ad. So after that, we're going to hit next, and we are done with the campaign side of things. So it's very, very easy to set up our campaign. Next thing we're going to do is set up our ad set, which is also very, very easy. And then the nitty-gritty details really come into play when we're setting up the actual ad. But again, with the ad set, we're going to want to name it. So typically, our ad set is where we're doing all of our targeting. So this is where we're going to select our age range, our location, our placements. And so those might be some of the things you want to put in your naming convention. So let's say we're running these ads in Orlando, Florida. Maybe we're going to want to put Orlando as the name of our ad set. We might also do a dash, and we might say that we're targeting people over the age of 25. So we could do 25 plus. And then what I will usually do is I will group up my ad sets by the different angles or the different offers we're running. So we're going to talk more about offers in just a second, but let's go ahead and just name this ad set Offer 1. Now, underneath that, we're going to have our conversion location. So we can usually select instant forms or website. So if you hit this drop down, you can also select website. Now, websites are typically better for generating higher quality leads at a higher cost. Instant forms are better at generating cheaper leads but lower quality leads. So typically we're going to want to start by launching instant forms, and this is to get a proof of concept. If we know that people are clicking on our ad, engaging with our ad, and filling out our form with an instant form, we can then graduate to a website form. So we're going to start off with instant forms, and I'll show you how to set these up on the ad level in just a moment. Scrolling down, we're going to see things like dynamic creative. We can leave that alone, leave it off. Catalog, we can leave that as none. The budget and schedule, I will usually recommend running $50 a day or $100 a day for most contractors. $20 a day would be kind of a minimum. I really would not go lower than that. If you don't have $20 a day to invest in advertising for your business, you probably are not in a position where you should be advertising with your business just yet, right? And I would actually say that for maybe $50 a day. If you're not investing $50 a day into your business, you might not have the budget to be investing in your business yet. After that, you might want to change the start date to the following day at midnight. I've sometimes done this. Sometimes I just leave it alone. It doesn't really matter. You can leave them to launch immediately if you're ready to get started. You don't have to set it for the following day at midnight. Now going down to audience settings, we're going to leave Advantage Plus on, and we're going to go to locations. We can go ahead and select that. It's going to by default have the United States selected. Instead, we're going to look up maybe Orlando, Florida. We can go ahead and select Orlando, and this is going to start with radius targeting, so it actually is just going to do a 25-mile radius, and as you can see, you can drop that all the way down to 10. If you do a financial services ad, it's going to have a higher radius. I think right now it would be 15. Sometimes it seems like it gets larger all the time, so for now we're going to go ahead and do Orlando. We can do 10 miles. Typically, I'll do something like 20 to 30 mile radius from the office location for any particular contractor I'm working with. And that's usually about an hour drive in any direction, right? So 30 miles is usually safe. You can also do zip code targeting. Really, it doesn't matter. We're looking at things that are low levers when we're talking about zip code targeting versus radius targeting. You want to focus on the high levers, the things that make a big difference, which is going to be your ad creative, your ad copy, and your destination. So don't get so hung up on the small details. Really focus on the things that are going to make a big difference. So we're going to go ahead and leave this as Orlando 30 miles. Then we're going to go ahead and deselect reach more people likely to respond to your ads. We want to make sure that we're only getting people in our service area. We're not getting people outside of our service area. Now, one thing that you're going to notice is the locations is now only reach people living in or recently in your location. So what can sometimes happen is people from out of town will be visiting in a city like Orlando, and they will be shown our ads even though they don't actually live in Orlando. And that could be problematic if they fill out our form and they live in Ohio, for example. There are ways to get around this. I'm going to show you exactly how we do that in just a moment on the ad level. So just wanted to kind of pinpoint why what I'm going to talk about in a moment makes sense. So that's another reason why we also want to deselect reach more people likely to respond, is because this is going to show people who are interested in our city. We don't want to show people who are interested in the city. We want to show our ads to homeowners who live in our city. So going down below, you're going to see show more controls. We may want to select that as well. And then the minimum age, we're going to jack this up as high as possible. So it starts at 18. We're going to want to jump it up to 25. used to be that we could set this to 30 or 35. Nowadays, they just set it for 25 if we're using the Advantage Plus audience controls, which I recommend to just leave on. Again, don't overcomplicate things. Just leave on the Advantage Plus audiences and select 25 as the minimum age. Now going down below that, you're going to see placements. Now placements is where do you want your ads to show up? Do you want them to show up in just the Facebook feeds, or do you want to show up on both Facebook and Instagram? Do you also want to show up on stories or reels? I recommend to just keep this stupid simple and just leave it on automatic. The ads I'm going to show you in just a moment are going to be square image ads. We do those because they are very, very easy to set up, and they're very, very effective as well. Now we've done image ads and video ads, and video ads just typically are harder to set up. An agency like mine, where we have a lot of experience and we have a couple of team members, we're going to be more likely doing both for a lot of the clients we work with. But we've built our entire agency's backbone off of image ads. So they're very, very powerful. And if you run square image ads, they're going to fit in almost all of these placements. So we're going to show you how to create square image ads in this video. And as such, you really don't need to play with the placements too much. Just leave it on automatic. So we're going to go ahead and hit next. And now we are actually creating our ads. So this is actually where the nitty-gritty details come in for how to set up effective ads for contractors. And this is where you're going to get a lot of the value out of this video as well. So stay tuned. This is going to be the best part. So let's go ahead and name our image ad. So what I typically do is just name this image 1. And then the next ad in the ad set will name image 2, and then image 3, and so on. What's important is that if we have multiple ad sets with the same images in different ad sets, that image 1 is image 1 consistently throughout all the different ad sets. This way, if we export data from our ads manager and throw it into AI like ChatGPT to have it analyze that data, then image 1 is going to be consistently image 1 throughout all the different ad sets. So whatever we decide to go with image 1, just make sure that's consistent with all the other ad sets that you'll be running ads in. So scrolling right down, we'll select the page. You're going to want to select the Facebook page for the business that you're running the ads for. And then Instagram page, if they have one. If they don't have one, it's not a big deal. You can run Instagram ads with a Facebook page. So they don't need to have an Instagram account. Don't get hung up on those small details. Multi-advertiser ads, also not a big detail. Don't even worry about it. Just continue going down. Carousel, again, another small detail. Let's just go with the single image or video. Keep our lives simple. Remember, simplicity scales, complexity fails. So we want to keep things stupid simple so we can replicate these exact same ads for multiple contractors. And honestly, just because something is more complicated does not mean it's going to work better. So let's just go with a single image ad. I don't really see carousels working too well for most home services unless you have a lot of different products you want to show off. So we're going to go ahead and keep going down. We're going to skip destination for a moment. We're going to come back to this after we go ahead and create our ad. So going down after that, I don't recommend requiring SMS or the follow-up. Let's just go all the way down to ad creative and let's start setting up our image ad. All right, so I want to just take a quick moment to talk about the different types of images that work well for contractors depending on the type of industry that you're in. So I usually will divide these up between needs and wants. So a need might be a new roof, HVAC system, or plumbing, and a want might be something like a kitchen remodel. Now, when you're dealing with a need, people don't typically care about seeing images of the final product or service. Instead, what we're going to want to do is show more photos of people from the different companies we're working with, because these will help to build trust with the homeowner. Compare that with a want, like a kitchen remodel. We might just want to show images of a brand new kitchen because we want to show them what they're going to get when they work with us. So these are very different types of ads, and they should be approached differently. There is one type of image that I like to use that can be used for both of these different industries, and that is a collage. And a collage is going to have half of the image be the final product or service and half of the image be team members. So I'm going to show you how to create those collages now, and these can be used for any type of contracting space. That's why I love using them so much. And what we're going to do is we're going to use something called Canva. Canva is a free tool. If you've never used it, then it is going to change your life when it comes to designing things or images for your business. And if you're getting into the digital marketing space, then get used to using Canva because you're going to use it very, very frequently. So I'm going to pull up another tab and we're going to dive right into Canva. All right, we are on Canva now, which is canva.com, and we're going to go ahead and create a new design. So I'm going to go over to the left-hand corner and hit create. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do a Facebook post, and we're going to select the square option. Now the reason we do square is because these square options can fit in a lot of the different placements that I was talking about earlier. So this actually helps us to not have to make new designs for every single placement. So we're going to go over to next is elements, and then we're going to go ahead and look up grid. So these are a lot of different grids that you can use for creating nice looking, professional looking Canva designs. The one that I'm going to use in today's video is just going to be one where half of the photo is going to be on top and half of the photo is going to be on the bottom. But play around with some different grids because a lot of them can work really, really well for your business. So again, what we're going to be doing here is we're going to have half of the image be the team photo and half of the image be the final product or service. So the way that you're going to want to get these images is typically by asking the contractor for these images directly. If they have team photos, that is going to be what you're going to want to use in lieu of using something like AI. And the same goes for their products or services. If they have beautiful kitchen remodels, just go ahead and get those photos from their Google business profile or their Facebook page. Now, if they don't have team photos, just ask them to come up with some team photos for you to use. And if you absolutely can't get into team photos, you can actually create these with AI. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now just to show you what this would look like in practice and what this would look like if we have team photos and images in here. Now, again, opt in for using real, authentic photos whenever and wherever possible. But if you cannot get those, then you can use something like Google Gemini to go ahead and create those images for you. So I'm going to do that now and show you what that looks like. So I am in Google Gemini here, and I've just said, create a realistic drone photo of a home with a shingle roof in Orlando, Florida. And this is what it has come up with. So you can go ahead and just right click this and copy the image so we can go ahead and paste that into Canva. So we are back in Canva here. What I'm going to do is just right click and paste, and the image will pop in right here. Now you can drag this down to either the top or bottom. I would play around with both, have two different images that you're trying, but for the sake of argument, we'll just throw it on the bottom here. And then if you double click on it, you can actually move it up and down and around within the frame. So you want to go ahead and center that so it looks just like that. And we have half of our photo done. Let's go back to Google Gemini and get a team photo so we can use that as well for the upper half of the photo. All right, I am back in Google Gemini, and I've just simply put, create a realistic image of a team of roofing salesmen taking a team photo on top of a roof in Orlando, Florida. And then we have a bunch of salesmen here. Now, I would typically probably remove their hard hats. I don't think that they really need them in here. Maybe we want to just have 3 or 4 people. Play around with the images if you're going to be using AI. Make them look authentic and real. So typically you could just probably throw this exact same prompt in and just say remove the hard hats and do that 10 or 12 times until you find an image that you like. Or what I'd actually recommend doing is getting authentic photos from the businesses that you're going to be running ads for. But we'll go ahead and use this one now just for the sake of argument to show you how this would look in practice. So again, we can copy this image and let's throw it right into Canva. So in Canva, we'll just go ahead and paste this image, drop it in the top one, pull it up a little bit. And now we have our image and it looks beautiful and it's done. And we can just go ahead and hit share, download the image, and we can download this so that we can use it for our Facebook ads. Let's hop back into the Facebook ads manager and pop this bad boy in. So we're back in the ads manager. We can go ahead and drop in this right here. Hit next. It will ask us to crop. I recommend just using original for all 3 if you do have a square ad like the one we created here. Hit next. And then now we're going to be creating the primary text of the ad. So I mentioned earlier the 3 biggest parts of the Facebook ad are the ad creative, which we just took care of. We're using a simple square collage. Then the primary text, the ad copy, is going to be the second most important thing. And then after that, the destination, the landing page or lead form, which we haven't gotten to yet. So this is actually very, very important that we spend a lot of time thinking about what is it going to be that our ad says. And again, I mentioned earlier that offers are very, very important on Facebook. And the reason for that is Facebook is a disruption-based platform. If somebody's on Facebook, they're not on Facebook to get a new roof. They're on Facebook to doom scroll, to kill 15 minutes while they're at work on their lunch break. And as such, we need to create a compelling offer that gets them to take action now. We want them to feel like if they do not click on our ad and fill out this form now, then they're going to lose the ability to get this offer forever. And that's the reason that offers work really, really well on Facebook. Now, there are two ways that I really like to write Facebook ads. We'll either write story type ads that read like they're written from the owner of the business and like you're reading them to a friend or a family member over the dining room table. Those are typically longer. We don't want any emojis in there. We want to have all of the sentences on their own line so it's easily readable. But that's a little bit harder to teach in this quick video. So I'm going to focus more on our offer focused ads, which are shorter, punchier ads, which you guys should be able to replicate very, very easily for your own industry and niche after watching this video. So we're going to focus on the offer focused type of ads. And when we're talking about offer focused ads, there's really 4 parts of an offer focused ad that we need to consider. There's the hook, the offer, a features and benefits section, and the call to action. And they're actually going to be in that order. So we're going to start off with a hook. And a hook can either be a statement, a question, or a call out. I will usually prefer to use questions or call outs. So starting with a question, if we're using roofing for example, we might want to start by saying something like, is your roof looking worn out, old, or has someone already told you it's in need of replacement? That could be a question that is geared towards people who know they need a new roof. Now, what I actually prefer to do instead of questions is going to be call-outs. And a call-out is even better because we're making sure that the people who are reading our ad are the people we want to be reading our ad. So I mentioned before that we're running ads in this example in Orlando. So we want to run ads to people in Orlando who own homes. So we might just want to say simply Orlando homeowners. This is what we call a call-out. And call-outs are extremely effective when we're running leads for contractors. And so I'm gonna actually recommend that you guys use call outs, but you can also use questions. Questions are quite easy to come up with as well. Statements are a little bit harder. Now, after we have our hook, which in this case is going to be our call out, we're going to want to have our offer. Now, there's a lot of different offers you can have for your business. We can have a financing offer, like I mentioned before, with a new roof for as low as $100 a month. You can have a discount offer. If you're running a discount offer, I highly, highly recommend that you provide a reason that you're providing the discount. So this should be part of your New Year's sale, your Halloween sale, your end of year sale, your 4th of July sale, right? Or a special program that you come up with. There should be a reason that you're providing a discount. Don't just tell homeowners that you're giving them $1,000 off their new roof for no reason at all. Give them some sort of reason why you're providing that discount. Or you might do something like a free accessory with your new roof. So we might say something like free gutters with a brand new roof. So we'll use that example here. Again, this isn't necessarily what I would do. I'd probably lean more heavily into like a financing offer or a discount offer and give a reason. But for roofing, one of the very common offers that you can also run is free gutters. You can give a free, patio set if you're running outdoor living contractors. You're doing a new paver patio. Maybe you give them a patio set with it, right? But for this example, we'll do free gutters. So we have our call out. After that, we'll mention that we're giving out free gutters with a brand new roof. So we could say something like, get free gutters when you replace your roof with 123 Roofing Co. in, February. I can't spell. But this is really cool because this actually gives them a time frame, right? If you didn't want to say in February, another way to make fake urgency in your ad would be to do parentheses and put limited time. We want to add scarcity and urgency whenever possible. So you might also say that this is limited to the next 15 homeowners in Orlando, Florida. Or you might want to have fake urgency by saying this is a limited time offer, or when you replace your roof in whatever month that you're in, you can claim this free offer. But what we've done here is we've had our hook, we have our offer, and then the next thing we're going to do is just list some features and benefits. So if we hit a couple spaces down, we can go ahead and start listing off some features and benefits. Now, with these more offer-focused ads, it's always great to add emojis as well. I don't really recommend that with our storytelling ads, but if you're running an offer focused ad, I would definitely recommend putting in some emojis. So we'll go ahead and add in some green check marks. I'll just copy that. And then we might want to put that we are an A+ rated, BBB accredited business. Maybe we have 500 plus 5-star Google reviews. Maybe we have, same-day estimates. And I'm capitalizing the first letter in a lot of these, so maybe we want to do that everywhere. And so you might want to list 3 to 5 different features or benefits, right? Now, these can be different for different businesses. Figure out what makes you guys different. Another really big one for roofing might be your warranty. So you might have a lifetime workmanship warranty, right? That's something that will set you apart from a lot of other roofers who might have a 5-year workmanship warranty or a 10-year workmanship warranty. Figure out what it is that you want to put for your features and benefits. This is actually the least important out of the 3 different sections. The most important is that you have a strong hook and a strong offer. And then the features and benefits is not as important, but is something you want to add in here as well. And the last part of our ad is going to be our call to action. And our call to action just tells the homeowner what it is that we want them to do next. So we want them to click on a button beneath this ad so that they can go ahead and fill out a form and book their free inspection and estimate. So we want to tell them exactly that. And again, this is a great time to reiterate that scarcity or that urgency. So I'll add another emoji. Maybe we'll add the little clock. And we'll say, don't wait. This offer won't be around much longer. Click the button below to schedule your free roof inspection plus estimate now. And then we're done. We have our entire ad. So obviously with these, we can change out some different hooks. We don't necessarily need to do a call out every time. We can try some questions. We can try out some different offers. If you're going to run a different offer, I recommend having a different ad set for that new offer. So all the different ads within this ad set should share the same offer. I usually have them share the exact same copy, and then all we change is the different images. So I'll have maybe 3 to 7 different images in a particular ad set, and we'll test them in groups like that. So we have our ad copy put together here. I will usually deselect any variations that Facebook wants to put for us. If I want to create a variation, I'll create it myself. That way I can very easily look at it when I'm naming my ad sets and say, variation 1, variation 2. If you want to leave on the variations they come up with, that's fine as well. But I usually will just turn this off. Going down below, we will have our headline, right? So it's already going to come up with some headlines for you. Typically for your headline, I'll also deselect applying all their variations, and then I will just put in the offer that we just came up with. So get free gutters when you replace your roof. And then sometimes it's cool to put like a fire emoji here. I'll usually do that as well. Or some emoji there. If you're doing a discount offer, maybe put a money bag emoji or a money symbol there. But that's all you need to do for your headline. Now, for your description, you can just leave this blank. You really don't need a description. If you are going to put a description, maybe you just want to put 5 stars. All right, so I'll put a star. Maybe I'll put 5 of those. And then I'll put, 500 plus 5-star Google reviews. And we're done with the text. Now for the call to action button, you might want to try out get quote or learn more is actually the one that I like to use the most. It's really not abrasive, or it's not asking the homeowner to do a lot. They're just trying to hit learn more. So it's a really easy ask of them to hit the learn more button. And if people are engaging with your ad, something that I want to take a small second to talk about is that if you have a lot of engagement, and this is also why we like to use team photos, is it will actually drive down what's called your CPMs, which is the cost to show your ads. And if we have a lower CPM, it means that we're not spending as much money to get in front of as many people. And so that is going to drive down our cost per lead. So we want to drive up engagement if at all possible, in any way possible. And one of the ways we could do that is by having an easier button like learn more as compared to something like get quote, right? So we'll leave that as get more. We'll hit next. And then Facebook will actually come up with a bunch of AI images. Now, play around with some of these. Some of these look quite good. I don't particularly love any of these ones. This isn't too bad, right? We got some roofers. Again, maybe take the hard hats off of them. I think that looks a little silly for this example. This one doesn't look too bad, but for the sake of today, we're going to go ahead and hit skip. We don't need to use any of their AI images. And then they're going to have a bunch of standard enhancements. Honestly, save yourself the headache and just turn all of these off. The only one that I actually recommend sometimes is ad overlays. This is just going to actually expand your ad so it's not a square anymore. It's going to create another little area above your ad where they put your headline. So sometimes overlays are all right, but the rest of these I will just turn off, especially ad music. I had one roofer where we had an image where we had a father and son on the roof, and they were just like these regular, roofers in Orlando. And then it added some really weird Indian music, and it just totally did not fit the vibe. It was like a love song for this father and son. And the business owner had actually reached out to me. They're like, why is this music playing on my ad? And so it could be really awkward, the music that they choose automatically. You can customize it so you can choose the music that you want. So if you want to be a little bit more hands-on, you can go ahead and select a song. But if you're doing an image ad, it doesn't really matter. I'll just deselect all of these standard enhancements, and then we'll hit done. All right, so we're almost done. We've already created our image. We've created our text, our ad copy. What I wanted to show you really quickly is that it's really important when we're looking at our ad here. Let me scroll down here. We're looking at our ad here. The reason that I love to use callouts so much is because they don't take up a lot of space, and you're able to fit in your hook and your offer in a very short amount of space. So if you look over here, this is an example of what our ad's going to look like on Facebook. And you can see Orlando homeowners get free gutters when you replace your roof with 123 Roofing Co. in February limited time. We fit in our hook and our offer before they have to hit the see more button to expand the rest of our ad. That's super, super important. What some people will do is they will actually have, scrolling back up to the ad copy, they'll have a hook, and then they'll hit space, and then they'll put their offer. And what's going to happen is people are only going to see the first 3 lines of your primary text before they hit the see more button. So they're not going to see the entire offer, especially if you have a very long hook, which is a question. Like the hook I made earlier was, are you noticing that your roof is old, worn out, or has somebody already told you that you need a replacement? That's going to take up a lot of this space, right? So you may not have the ability to squeeze in the hook and the offer before people hit that see more button. So I like to tell people that the first 3 lines of your ad are really more of a headline than the actual headline is. The headline, if you go back down here, let me go back. The headline is actually on the bottom of the ad down here. So the headline, people don't even see initially. They're going to actually see the first 3 lines of the ad before they hit the see more button. And so that is really where you want to put a lot of your focus and making sure that you can put in both your call out or your hook and your offer if you're running these short offer focused ads like the one I'm showing today. But awesome, we are almost done. So going back up to the top, we are going to go ahead and create our form now. So we're back up to instant forms, and we'll go ahead and hit create form. And then let's go ahead and name this form, roofing 123. And then you might want to put like V1 if you're going to be creating multiple forms in the future, just to save yourself the headache of having to go rename it later. So I will usually go ahead and select more volume for our form, and then we can go ahead and hit the next button. Now the headline, really simply, just put your offer again. So put get free gutters with your new roof replacement. All right, and you can go ahead and change this to exactly how you want to word it. You have 60 characters to be able to do so. So let's go ahead and just leave it as is. You can play around with exactly how you want to word that. And then for the description, I will usually just keep this super simple. I will put see if you qualify. Now, this is actually going to build a lot of intrigue. It makes people curious. Am I going to qualify for this new roof, right? Am I going to qualify for this offer? And so that is usually why I'll put something like see if you qualify, because it builds intrigue and gets people more likely to actually start filling out the rest of your questions. So we'll go ahead and hit next. And this is where we can actually ask a couple of questions. Now, I recommend that we have a couple of questions that we ask before we just immediately dive into their contact details. This is just to make sure that these people are actually in the market to get their roof repaired or replaced. And this is going to be different for different industries. If you're in a want industry, like I mentioned earlier, let's say you're doing kitchen remodels, I highly, highly recommend that you put a budget question here. So what is your budget for this project? Is it 5 to 10,000, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 plus? Right? That's not as important if you're doing a need, but it's definitely very important if you're doing a want. So one of the very first questions I absolutely love to ask, and my probably number one recommended question to ask, or for you to ask if you're a contractor, is do you live within 50 miles of wherever you service, right? So do you own a home within 50 miles of Orlando, Florida? And they can do yes or no. You can actually turn on conditional logic so that if they select no, it can disqualify them. I don't want to make this video too long, so I'll probably cover that in another video. But that is probably going to be the best question you can ask. And this is actually my favorite question because of what I showed you before on the ad set level, where we can only target people living in or recently in a location. So somebody is just visiting and they see our ad and they click on it and then they get a question like, do you own a home within 50 miles of Orlando, Florida? And they select no. Well, then we don't have to give that lead to the business, right? So this is just one way that we can make sure that we're only getting leads for homeowners that are qualified in our service area. So I'm going to recommend 2 to 3 questions. I'm going to keep today's video very short. So I'm just going to add one more. So we might say, what service are you interested in? And then we can do roof repair or roof replacement. Some other really great questions would be, when are you looking to have this project done? Are you looking to get it done in the next 30 days, 60 days, or more than 60 days from now? You can ask how they hope to pay for their new roof. Are they going to be using cash, financing, going through their insurance company? Do they not know? There are a lot of different questions you can ask. I typically would just recommend asking 2 to 3 questions before getting their contact details. Now, after that, we're going to scroll down. And then right here, we're going to go ahead and get their auto-filled contact information. So I usually will put for the description, please confirm the information below is correct. And then what we'll do is we'll have their email, the full name, phone number. I'll usually pull the full name up higher. And then I will add in contact details like their street address and their zip code. This is going to give us all the information we need to go ahead and get this person on our calendar. So we'll go ahead and hit take off optional. We want their phone number every time. And then we might hit next. So if you want to see what this is going to look like, there's a preview page right on the right hand side. You can see what we're going to do is we're going to have them take into this page, get free gutters with your new roof replacement, see if you qualify, ask our first question, ask our second question. Then they're going to have all this information auto-filled, which can sometimes be problematic if it's outdated. That's another reason why we like to use our landing pages, is because it adds more friction to this process. They have to manually enter that information, so we make sure that we're getting up-to-date information. And we can also automatically redirect them to our calendar page, which is also great. Here, they're going to be taken to a confirmation page where they can click on a button to go to our calendar page, which very few people actually click. But regardless, usually landing pages are better in the long run, but we're going to start with an instant form. So here we're just going to put the link to their privacy page. You can just look up a generic privacy page if they don't have one. Just look up generic privacy page on Google and they'll give you a link. Or we just put www.google.com. Don't just put google.com. Put a privacy page here. So then we'll hit next again. And then you can go ahead and put your final message. Now, if you want them to go ahead and book on a calendar, what you're going to do is you're going to add the link to that calendar here. Maybe it's a Calendly calendar right? We can put that link here. If you use Go High Level, which is what we use in our agency, you can put that link here as well. And then maybe you'll want to change this from visit website to put something like schedule your inspection now, right? If you don't have a calendar page, it's not that important. Most people are never going to click this button right here at the bottom of the page. Something maybe like 20% or less of people actually end up clicking that button. So if you are using a calendar page and you want to say schedule your inspection today, you might want to change this headline to say step 2 of 2, book your appointment today, right? So you could do step 2 of 2, book your inspection. And then you could click the button below to schedule your roof inspection plus estimate now. Again, if you do not have a calendar page, it's not that big of a deal. You can just leave this as thanks, you're all set. If you'd like to, you can visit our website down below, and then you can just put a link to your generic website, right? So again, I'll just put www.google.com. But again, this is going to want to be to your calendar page or just to your website. And then you'll hit create form. And then we are all done. This is exactly how you set up ads for your contracting company, right? So this is going to work if you're a roofer, a remodeler, outdoor living contractor. Everybody should be able to launch ads using the same framework. And that's really it. So that's all there is to it. I want to cover a couple quick other questions that people might have. One of the biggest ones that a lot of people have is how many ads should they have per ad set? Typically anywhere from 3 to 7 ads per ad set is great. If you're going to have more than that, then just break them up to having multiple ad sets. I like to break up my ad sets by the different offers. You could also be wondering how much different ad sets you have. What I really want to communicate to you guys is that there are a million ways to skin a cat. I know of bigger YouTubers in this space that have bigger agencies than mine that preach to have 1 ad per ad set and have 20 different ad sets to test out everything. Some other people might recommend that you have 20 different ads in 1 ad set and then do it that way with a campaign optimized budget. I've done them both ways, right? And what I really want to communicate is that there's no right way to do this. You can have 20 different ads in their own individual ad sets. You can have 20 different ads in 1 ad set. I've done both of these things. Typically nowadays, what I'll do is I'll have 3 to 7 different ads in 1 ad set, and then I will let that run for a few days, and then I'll come back, and if one of the ads is monopolizing the ad spend and they're getting all the ad spend with no leads, I will turn that one off and give the others a chance to actually get some ad spend and see if they're working. But at the end of the day, this is a system that nobody has 100% figured out. Everybody has their own way of doing things, so don't beat yourself up too much about it. The learning is in the doing, and that's true for a lot of things in life, right? So just go in there and create 3 to 7 ads for that ad set. Give it a few days, maybe $300 in ad spend before you turn it off. If it's gotten no leads, maybe don't give it $300, cut it off earlier than that. But if it's gotten some leads and just some of the ads haven't gotten any spend and maybe one of them has spent $100 with no leads, turn off the one that spent $100, let the others get a chance. And then you can just very easily duplicate the entire ad set and relaunch it again with some new, fresh creatives and maybe trying out a new offer as well. So I hope this video helped. If it did, please drop a like down below, maybe consider subscribing. And if you have any questions, drop them down below as well. Or if you have any recommendations for videos that you would like to see, drop those down below as well. I hope to hear from you all soon and have a great day. Bye.